Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Space Night Trucking. Trucking through history tonight is the theme. And okay, continue. I wanted to do a quick mod test on the profiler during this week, so that's what I used. I'm now just waiting for my Firefox to appear on my laptop, which, as always, it is running slower than Continental Drift. Don't know why. It's pretty much a brand new laptop with nothing on it. It's just slow. Might have something to do with the fact that it's using a Wi-Fi connection as opposed to a wired connection. However, trucking through time. 1944, height of the Second World War. June 6, yes, Sunday, is the anniversary of the D-Day landings, part of Operation Overlord. Now, the Allies have been in quite extensive combat with the Germans since about 1939, and it was getting to the point where the German defences, though still good, were somewhat diminished to a degree that we could safely mount an invasion of France. However, one simply doesn't walk ashore. You need to pick your target, you need to pick your primary location in which to do it. And this was several beaches, 5 beaches in total, Utah and Omaha for the Americans, Gold, Sword and Juno for the British and Canadian forces. Hello cats, how are you? I'm coming on to Sim 1 in a bit. Why is it not loading up properly? Ah, yeah, it's loaded. It's loaded. It's loaded. Right, I want a refrigerated double, side door double. Okay, use that. Right, done. Right, I'm in Aalborg. If you want to join me, I'm on Sim 1 server. So, yeah, you've now got to have a point where you can breach. Now, there's several key objectives that the Allies had to achieve. And these took, on the whole, about a week to carry out. But the planning for the invasion of Normandy was started back in 1943. And this was what, to do this is why you need to time it right. Get your troops in place. You need to make sure that you're also... Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, if not, I can always hop onto Sim 2. Let me go to... get here and I'll quit out and move to Sim 2. So yeah, the Allies, I mean, Joseph Stalin had initially no real issue with the Germans as long as he'd left him alone, and Hitler, back in the early 1940s, promised to do that. So, to some degree, there was a bit of a was a non-aggression pact between the two countries. However, Hitler decided that rather than sit and oh, go and he decided to basically invade Russia. Well, that didn't go down too very well with Joseph Stalin. As a result, the treaty between Germany and Russia was basically null and void. One does not simply shit on your enemies, on your friends, like. So the friendship between Hitler and Stalin went very, very sour very, very quickly. And basically a bit of a fight then, started up. I mean, it was a non-aggression pact. It wasn't like an allied type thing. It was like, you stay out of the war and leave our country alone, and we'll leave you alone. Well, that didn't go very far. So of course, the then fairly strong Wehrmacht, Stalin wanted to split the resources. Well, no can do, really, because the Allies at the time were not of sufficient strength to be able to have a fight on the Western Front and the Eastern Front. So, unfortunately, that had to wait. A few, right, I'll come over to Sim 2. So Churchill persuaded Roosevelt, who was able then to persuade Joseph Stalin that 1941 was not the time to do it. The British Royal Navy were up to their neck in the Battle of the Atlantic, trying to deal with Karl Dönitzy's U-boats, which were the only thing that scared Winston Churchill. It was quite a major thing. They were sinking ships left, right and centre. 1942, the war's going a little bit better for the Allies, but they still hadn't got sufficient forces to push into France. 1943. Things have started to happen. The Germans, the tide of the war had started to turn against the Germans. We'd had Operation Chastise, which was the Dambuster raid. 617 Squadron with some 19 Lancasters went into the German heartland to give the Germans a bloody nose. Well, they did that all right. More, that's another story. But it also, as well, started to put the plans for a potential, when the time is right, invasion of Europe. Well, they don't want to do it on sort of like around the corner by La Rochelle on the Bay of Biscay. One, it's too rough. Two, it's defended. And three, it's got quite a long supply chain. You don't really want to do it in Calais. That's fairly close to Berlin and Paris. It's quite a short distance away, so it's easily defended. And with some really good long railguns, 3/4 which can get 3/4 of the way across the English Channel, you don't really want to do it. You want to do it quite out the way of railways, cats, and then, having made your plans to do it and found your suitable location, which were the 5 beaches as mentioned a couple of moments ago: Sword, Juneau, Gold, Omaha, and Utah. Omaha and Utah named after parts of America: Omaha, Nebraska, and obviously Utah. Utah being the state, one of major states. Right, that's enough. Okay. So you need to basically build to get into Europe. You need a breachhead, and that was provided by several units, including the 101st Airborne Division. But even before that, you needed a deception plan. One simply does not walk up a beach held by the Germans flying a US or an English flag. It will probably get you shot. So you need to soften yourself. You've got then several large battleships from the Americans and the British, one of which was USS Nevada, which survived the Pearl Harbor attack in December 1941. So you part those off the coast of Normandy, and just like the Americans did in Vietnam, Da Nang, you point your guns ashore and you just open fire round after round, just to soften it up, soften their defences, and then that can also provide you a cover to get ashore. That's just part of the story. You know, that's the beach, but you need to then convince that, you know, before all this started, that you're not going to attack those 5 beaches, you're going to go somewhere else. Operation Bodyguard was then hatched out in early 1943, early 1944, which is a deception plan. So you want to place on other parts of England, not connected directly to Plymouth, large amounts of fake tanks, cardboard tanks, inflatable Spitfires, inflatable Mustangs, inflatable aircraft, which from 14 to 20,000 feet from your German reconnaissance aircraft, they look convincing enough. So these guys will see down below and see, oh, there's the massing here. And you also could then create the other half of the illusion is fake radio traffic. Radio chatter, just inane chatter, telling what that you're going, planning for this, planning for that. Well, obviously, radio is open source, so you can listen to it, you can receive it, but so can the Germans. And just like how we cracked the Enigma, they'd also cracked our encrypted communications as well. And that then allowed us to make the Germans think that we're going to attack somewhere else. Exactly where doesn't really matter. Yeah. It's a fact that we were able to do it. We are going to go to... That's a bit too short. Yeah. So by doing that, the Germans put their Panzer Corps on the fake beaches. That kind of reduces the load that you've got to fight against. Brilliant. So on D-Day, you then basically start to make your invasion. And it was this area here. So you sail basically from Southampton, Portsmouth and Plymouth, all this area down here. And the Channel Islands as well. These here were the only territory held by the British during World War II that was actually invaded by the Germans. They were later liberated when France was liberated, and obviously Paris is here. Now, there's castles, there's Berlin, there. So you got German units here, German units here, and German units here. And basically you want to try and tell them that you're not going to attack here, you're going to attack somewhere like here, or here. All down here is also where the Atlantic Wall is. Goes right down to La Rochelle, where the submarine pens are, and goes down to there, Bayonne. Very thick, very strong defences, especially round here. That was a major hub for the submarines. They've been bombed several times, but the submarine pens were fairly strong. Now, you've got 5 beaches down here. You've got Juno Sword and Gold Beach sort of here. With up here, you've got, at the other end, you've got Utah and Omaha. And you've got to see his objectives. And the night was chosen because the tide was right, the weather conditions were pretty much ideal, and we had full moon. Now, normally you don't really want to attack on a full moon, but at this point you needed the moon to see what you're doing. So it kind of makes sense. And you've got a large amount of force, to do this. Real heavy. Now the beach have been heavily fortified. In fact, all 5 beaches were heavily fortified. You've got tank traps. You've got anti-personnel mines. You've got sentry emplacements for the Germans. And all this had to be cleared. So some of this was done with bombardment. But you've also as well got landing craft to bring tanks in. Now, 1944 was ideal because at this point the Germans had lost their superiority to the Allies. We got top cover, but that wasn't to say that the Luftwaffe was out of the game. It was still very much a viable fighting force. Hermann Göring was a very smart man. But when he saw Allied fighter planes over Berlin, he is reputed as saying, "Mein Führer, we have lost the war." Hitler didn't take too kindly to that, but there's not a lot that can be done, because Hitler, as bad as he was, still had some respect for his generals. Especially his close and trusted ones. And there were German fighters and German bombers prowling round, where you've got top cover provided by Spitfires, Hurricanes, Mustangs to some degree. Lesser aircraft as well, like the Hawk and Fury, well, Hawk and Sea Fury, Hawk and Tempest, Hawk and Typhoon, and the likes. Now, once you've got the beachhead and the objective secure, you can then bring in your second element, which was the airborne troops. These guys were brought in on gliders and also jumped out the back of C-47 Dakotas, or Skytrain, but it's a DC-3, it's a Dakota. Same basic aircraft to the layperson. You park the two side by side, what's the difference? The door, basically. Went on for the best part of a week to actually, because that's how long it took to secure the objectives. I think it was Omaha Beach. It had fairly high cliffs around it, so it was a defender's paradise because you got the high ground. And if you got the high ground, it's easy to defend. Because you're shooting down onto top of your enemy, which in this case was the Americans. And once you had broke through, got various villages on the way that you then had to clear, because the Gestapo had left a few surprises. as had the Wehrmacht. Okay, cats. I will meet you at the hotel in the town. If I can get out without getting the fence stuck between the two trailers, that's a bit embarrassing with these things. You do that. But the fighting in these houses was probably pretty intense. After all, you've still got various members of the SS knocking about, the Gestapo, as well as the fairly strong remnants of the Wehrmacht. It was even in 1944. The German army was still quite a significant force. Now they had... Oh, easy. Right. Oh, faster by the looks of it. Nice. The entire D-Day campaign has been the feature of several films, several TV series, Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, but also as well a film called and a book called The Longest Day. Now, D-Day quite simply means day. That's what it is. Day, day. I think this is the day. And yes, I was actually over the threshold when it went through, so it's safe to carry on going into the junction. Sugar and coffee. But overall, the D-Day landings were actually a success, Hello Hot Rock, it's going good. I'm on Sim 2 server at the moment. But to get to Paris, I think it was after breaking out from the beachhead, it took about 3 months. And once you got that, and once you got Paris liberated, the Germans were very much on the back foot then. Yeah. In another 11 months after D-Day, Tuesday the 8th of May, World War II in Europe was over. That was it, you know, job done. And if you go over to France now, well, not now, but COVID, there are various monuments to the fallen of D-Day. Both British, American, Canadian, well, American and Commonwealth forces, but also as well to the Germans. That's a tight corner with one of these things. Yeah, you too, buddy. I'm going to Hamburg. And this eventually did leave. Once Paris had fallen, you know, you've then got the ability then to move up into the lowlands, Holland. Yeah, push the Germans out of Holland and push them back to Berlin. That was the ultimate objective. But every time the Germans crossed the bridge in retreat, the first thing they did, blow the bridge up to prevent us, the Allies, from crossing the bridge. Which, when you think about it, is quite a smart tactical move. Makes it harder for the Allies to get you. Slows them down. Allows you to then make a little bit of move and push on. Get more distance between yourself and your pursuers. In this case, the 8th Army. From up Dwight D. Eisenhower, 30 Corps from Bernard Montgomery. It was a resounding success. But as with any wartime plan, your trip, your battle plans only usually are good for about the first couple of hours. After that, you're making it up as you'll go along. Yeah, trucking through time. No, trucking through history. Tonight I'm just like, it's D-Day because it's D-Day on Sunday. It's a new idea I've got, Hot Rock, to simply make the drive a little bit more interesting. You get to hear me waffle on about a subject. Now, fast forward a few months. I mean, you've then got the Russians breathing down the necks of the Germans coming in from the east, and the American allies, basically the Americans, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, and the Brits, along with the Indians and other Commonwealth forces, pushing in from the west, to basically surround Berlin. But it took until 19... I have a different style to Rib. I mean, Rib just goes for it. Yes, mate! To actually secure the beachhead and get things ashore, we had, the Allies had developed the Canadians come under the Commonwealth forces. You got World War II allies. You got the Russians. You got the Poles. Well, or rather, the Free Poles. Got to Europe, and you've got American and Commonwealth forces. Commonwealth forces would be the Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, Jamaicans, anywhere where the British monarch is head of state, which in this case does include Canada. When you've actually got the beachhead, I mean, you've got all these tanks. Well, some of the stuff you couldn't simply just roll up a landing craft because of what you're putting in the water to drive ashore. Water's too deep, so you make a floating harbour. It goes up and down with the tide. You just drive off the ship onto the Mulberry Harbour. also as well, some of these were then repurposed and taken inland to be used as mulberry bridges. To deal with the bridges that the Germans had blown up in retreat. They were quite useful. Just things I've read up on. I've been interested in stuff like that. You know, you listen, I'm looking at some of my CD collection. It's all like, actually, can't stay here. Lane's ending. Besides, I'm not that old. How old do you think I am, Hot Rock? Cheeky twat. The Allies finally got to Berlin, you've then got to deal with la creme de la creme, the best of the German forces to defend Berlin. And no, I'm not in the forces. Both both. Also as well, National Geographic, Channel Quest, you know, documentary channels, BBC. It's actually a good series that is worth watching if you can get hold of it. Al Murray, Road to Berlin. Put your truck in the rest area, buddy. Put your truck in the rest area, guys. And welcome to Germany. And the fighting in I don't watch much now. I used to watch a shitload, but it was all that documentary stuff.
Kurde, ale dzisiaj wieje, widzę, tak rzuca trochę.
In TMP you can, just I don't advise it. You know, I'd rather somebody use a rest area if it's all possible. Now, there's some good stuff on TV, but there's also a lot of crap on TV. Still like it, babe. Now, it's about, I think it's about the 6th or the 7th of May, 1945. Hitler and Eva Braun, they knew the game, Hitler knew the game was up. And he is believed to have shot himself, whilst his wife Eva took a poison pill, and I think he might have had kids and they also died, but that's by the by. Yeah, it's not something I'm fully clued up on, you know, if he had kids or not. But afterwards, you know, somebody has to formally surrender the German forces to the Allies. It wasn't called that. It was not Hermann Göring. No. It wasn't Goebbels. It was called Dönitz. The head, not necessarily of the Kriegsmarine, but the submarine corps of the Kriegsmarine. And at that point, Berlin had to be basically it was divided up. And then descended the Iron Curtain. Well, that's another story altogether, you know, the Iron Curtain. You know, relationship between the Russians and the other allies. And also as well, former enemies, the Germans, became quite sour. Well, it was already sour with the Germans anyway, but so not a lot changed there. Some tone. Okay. Have fun. for a while after the Berlin had basically been carved up, and Germany itself was also carved up. Hang on, cat, I've got a busy junction. It's both. Mainly cities because of where we have to deliver, but certainly a lot of motorways to get to and from cities. I need a V8. For a while, the people on the eastern side of Germany were able to go to the west, although that didn't stay for long. Eventually, the Russians put a wall up. And that was that. Yeah. The only way to get into West Germany was initially through a dedicated land corridor from West Germany. Yep, almost there. Oh crap, I missed me putting in junction. I missed me turning. Should have gone to the spiral. And that caused a bit of a tension during the late 1940s and the 1950s. After all, West Germany was now completely separated from West Berlin, which was completely surrounded by East Germany. So what do you do? Well, you get loads of aircraft and you start flying in supplies. So the only thing you could do, can't go by road, you had to fly it in. And this went on for a while. Thus was called the Berlin Airlift, and it was literally all supplies Yeah, the clue there, Cats, was almost.
Oh, 095 to every driver to the onions bed.
Don't listen to him, oh my fucking god.
Every driver with only one hand will be invited in help.
But the Berlin airlift did prove to the Russians
One hand needed, you don't need.
that the West would not give up its resolve. So eventually they did actually back down. And allow an overland traffic again. But it nearly wasn't the case. Of course, this status quo with East Germany, West Berlin went on until just after Ronald Reagan was in, I think he was in Germany when he said it, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Well, that gave the impetus to East Berliners to do it, and they did. Late 1980s, 89 I think it was. The mast on the border with West Germany, West Berlin, and just stormed the wall. And it didn't take long after that for plans to be put into place to reunify Germany. Erich Honecker, the Chancellor of East Germany, resigned. Not quite sure what happened to him after the wall fell. I'll have to look him up. Well, I think if not for Mikhail Gorbachev being the way he was, as a very forward-thinking, very progressive leader of Russia, unlike ones who came after him, ones who were very much before him, Khrushchev, Stalin, and a couple of the others, along with Yeltsin and Putin thereafter. He was very progressive, very forward thinking, and even Margaret Thatcher said he is one person I can do business with. And she did.
Como é que vocês ainda estão aqui? Eu fui pegar uma outra carga, vocês ainda estão aqui.
I say, you do not overtake on a solid white line. Especially when you're coming up to a junction. That is just stupid. Let's see what's going for me. Okay. I was wondering where you got to. Let me see what I've got. Go to transit. Could go back to Aalborg. And now return load. Oslo. Now we are going to. Camping there, so drive through.
Aô, rapaziadinha do meu Brasil, fala comigo!
However, yeah, I'm going to Oslo.
Jalla, jalla, Hopsasa, ich muss erstmal Shisha-Bar.
Ah, da stimme ich dir voll und ganz zu.
Na Mensch, mal ein Deutscher hier.
Ja,
noch mehr.
unglaublich, ne?
Ich höre den ganzen Tag nur Xing Shang Chong und Jalla Jalla.
Ja, und ein bisschen Allah ist auch noch dabei.
Xing Shang Shang sind Karton, würde ich mal behaupten.
Willst du auf den Discord-Server kommen zu uns?
Hau raus.
Ob du auf den Discord-Server kommen willst zu uns? Wir sind eine große Truppe.
Wieso nicht?
Also ich bin gerade noch an einer Serie dran und bin auf TS mit ein paar anderen.
It's give me the green, so I don't give a
Okay,
damn.
nicht schlimm. Dann adde mich einfach mal und dann sollst du mal.
That's better. Turn him off for a bit. Right. get out of all these massive people as well. Oi! Stop for red lights! It's a bit busy tonight. Hello, Martin. Yeah, we're all good. I'm heading up to Oslo in Norway for this run. And yes, earlier on it was trucking through to history. I'll have to think of more topics to talk about for future episodes of this this series. Like Manchester, yeah, it's not too bad actually. Go up, Billy. How's that? Any better? I might have turned it partly down in the mixer so I don't boom everybody out. It was bent away a bit, I think. Right, because we are now heading up to Norway, Oslo. We're going up via Frederikshavn, because that'll cut out quite a bit of driving. Because the sat-nav wants us to go up to Herschel's, then out to Kristiansand, then come across. Nah. Not where I can take the ferry from Frederikshavn, go up to Oslo that way. Because to get to Northfood's in the middle of bloody Oslo, so we'll come out the bloody ferry port. What we, I mean, Oslo is, you know, Norway itself played its own important role in the Second World War for the Nazis. Because you've heard of everyone's probably heard of the Manhattan Project, which was the American building of weapons of mass destruction. Little Boy and Fat Man. Little Boy being a uranium device and Fat Man being a plutonium bomb. That was the second of the two. Little Boy dropped out of Enola Gay onto Hiroshima. Fat Man dropped out of Boxcar onto Nagasaki. Well, the Germans were also in the race. Because they wanted to get one and drop it on New York. Nice. But to do it, they needed heavy water. And to make the heavy water, they got a place in Norway. And there was an operation, I think it was called Operation Telemark, which was a Norwegian agents, British agents, attempt to destroy it. Part of which formed the basis, I think, although don't quote me on it, for the plot for 633 Squadron. Yeah, where the Mosquitoes go out and try to bomb a factory. The real operation was carried out by Secret Service agents. That in itself is its own story. Lots of skiing across open country. Why has he got beacons on a car transporter? Strange that. And I wouldn't be surprised if the agents who went to destroy this heavy water plant were actually brought into Norway by the Shetland bus. It would certainly be the sort of thing that, given the nature of this Shetland bus, that they would be coming ashore on. Anything oversized really, cats. You know, if it's over the width of the vehicle or over length. Or occasionally if you're on certain yards, they like it to put beacons on. We don't need them on the car transporter. I mean, this thing of mine is 25.25 metres long. I don't need them on this. Unless I'm like in a factory complex manoeuvring around. I mean, by rights I should have for going into Germany, I should have a thing on the back of my truck that says Lang LKW. This is where things get interesting. No, we're going the right way. No, because we got to go up the Aalborg. Got to go past Aalborg to get to Friedrichshafen. Yeah, yours is taking you the long way round. Now go to Aalborg, then go straight up to Friedrichshafen to Oslo. Cuts about about 500 k's off the trip, and half an hour. Don't need a GPS on for this particular run. You know, Aalborg area is where my profile's based, so I should know it. If I don't, there's a problem. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but heavy water, in the nuclear industry, you've got light water reactors and heavy water reactors. Well, light water is just, well, water. Heavy water is based on an isotope of hydrogen. Particularly, I think it's deuterium that they use. But it's highly important in the enrichment of uranium. And the Germans, they knew this fact. How do they know this fact? Probably because they got spies in America feeding them information back to Berlin. I'm not quite sure where the Germans were supposed to get the uranium from for their nuclear weapon, but they had their supplies. But either way, the Allies knew that it had to be stopped. And it was quite heavily defended. Yeah, so getting in there with a Lancaster was doable, but it probably wouldn't get back. Because if it landed in Sweden, the Swedes were, the first thing they would do is intern it. Well, that would take a bomber out of the bloody war. But it was so suitably far inland, so that you couldn't get it with naval guns. So the only way to do it would be a special forces operation. So as a result, I think they used the agents of the SOE. Although I'll need to check up on that. Just to be doubly sure. But Norway as well, it didn't just provide heavy water. In one of the fjords of Norway is the Tirpitz. It's lying on the bottom. Because this particular fjord where it was within the reach of a Lancaster on the return trip. So a Lancaster with, I think it was a tall boy, was used. The tall boy is a big 10-ton bomb. Next one down from the Grand Slam. that was had to be carried by specially converted Lancasters. I think from 617 Squadron again did that. Because the Tirpitz was so well armoured, your normal bombs probably wouldn't penetrate it. So you wanted something with a bit of oomph behind it. So Tallboy was used. Bloody thing weighs I think about 10 tons. One bomb, down it drops, bang. But prior to this, we had tried a more clandestine operation with small X-craft. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, the bombs went off, but unfortunately it took some of the X-craft with them. I think it may have killed a few of the crew, and the others who were able to release their munitions and were captured, ironically put on the turbines. So first things first, mosquitoes were sent out to plan the route, take various photos, and then obviously the plan was hatched by the RAF and a couple of Lancasters were sent in. And the net result, well, was one rather destroyed battleship. I mean, we'd already got the Bismarck a few years earlier. With the Tirpitz out of action, it certainly made convoys across the North Atlantic a lot easier. They only then had to worry about the U-boats. Like 1943, 1944, the U-boats were very much on the back foot. The happy time was over. Battle of the Atlantic was one of the longest operations of the Second World War, to which it wasn't just the UK that played a big part in that, because our patrol aircraft could only go out so far. So some were, taken out of from American bases to cover the western half of the Atlantic, and some came out of the UK to cover the eastern half of the North Atlantic, although that did leave a small section in the middle which had to be plugged by very long range liberators flying out of Iceland. Next stop is Oslo. There we are. Oslo, 12 hours. Boop. I'll wait here for cats for you to arrive, cat. Best turn my GPS on, so I don't really know this part. This part of Norway very well, so. But Norway, historically, has always been one of those nations where, they have a lot of Viking spirit. Part of this shows through with the their links in the Orkney and Shetland Islands. Yep, they used to be Norwegian territory at one point. Long time ago, I'll grant you. That's so entertaining. And yes, I do it in the truck. Me at all, gotta do it. Hit the loud one. Yeah. Oh yeah. You want to do it with the old style Scani. The V8's got a little bit more rumble to it. Right, where's my... And the fuel light has just come on. Not bad. Okay, I'm nearly there now anyway. I'm going to auto-plot this anyway because I need to quickly then scurry to my nearest depot to get some fuel, right? Because I need some dinosaur piss in my tank. Easiest way to do this, go to there. Garage Manager, I want Oslo. Have I got Oslo? Yes, I have. Where's Oslo? There we are. Travel. This is a 5-slot depot, so I can refuel. Right, now to get my... Right, have I got a good Scanias? Volvo F80s, loads of Volvo F80s, Ivecos. Who the hell will buy an Iveco highway? Yeah, I'm at Oslo. Just buy my... have I got a Scania? What is he? Oh, we got a Range Rover. The weekly got AI is a bloody Range Rover. That's what we got. Oh, we have a we have a Tobal. Yeah, cool. The weekly AI is a bloody Range Rover. So that's one to take on to Promod to go off road. Right. Scania Streamer. Oh yeah, I have got Scania S in here. Upgrade. And it is in the right colours. Lovely. As they don't work anyway. I won't bother with them. Of course, they don't bloody work. And, drive it. I will be back in Oslo in a moment. I'm just picking up my truck. And probably with this one, I'll do a might. Trailer manager. Let's get myself a container carrier. Configure. Now over back up to Oslo again. Change my truck. And this will probably be the short trip of the night. Don't think I'll be going much further. Oh dear. Right, I need to quickly F7. Something wrong with a bloody Scania. It's not. Is this a freaking tag axle? Have I got my tag axle key unbound or what? I have no idea. I went to use my normal buttons. Like tag won't lift. Okay. Yeah, there's a tag axle. That's what I need to find out. Is it? I'll not change the bloody button. Scheiße. Oh, you've got that one, I mean. Okay. Right, let's see. Somewhat short. Job market. Cargo market. I think somewhat really short. Nothing massively short with Oslo because it is kind of out of the way. Soda tile's getting quite long. Yeah. Gothenburg. Yeah, could do Gothenburg. From Polaris lines to Volvo. Take some motor oil. Oh, got to put my bloody V8 wheel back on. And there we go. Right, I'm going to go to Polaris Lines, which is 70 kilometers away. God, this feels like a bloody sports car being driven to death. It just goes. Oh, nice. Right, and we are going to there. That's why I take the ferries. And unlike in single player, you don't lose any time. It's bloody brilliant the ferries are in here. See? And now we go. Were your lights green then? Cats, wait there. Right, let's go to Volvo Cars. Nice. And if you were to come over to Port Lincoln, I don't mind you doing the stuff like that. Probably damaged load anyway, so don't worry about it. You probably did like 1% of damage to it. Yep, and bridges that go between tunnels. Yeah, the one that goes between the tunnels. Yeah, that's the one I'm on about. Yep. And this is it. This is the last run of the day, last delivery about to get made. Excellent! Right, Cat, dump your trailer up by the fence. Alright, put it there. Yeah, you're welcome, Cat. You're welcome, buddy. Let's get the photograph. Dump it there. Right, okay. Let's see what you've done to that. That's why. F11 and yeah, Cat. Take this off because it might have a bit of a collision volume. So every time you go over a bump, you're going to do damage to your truck. Take that off. Put a set of pipes on down the side. Oh. Put either chrome or black mirrors on because the canopy paint jobs are knackered on the S series. Those stripes, I don't think should be there. Nice truck though. Hep. Oh, come on, Cat. That's it. Oh right, I thought it might have a collision volume because if you put some of the low riding stuff, they are prone to damage. That's why I told you to take it off. Worry about it damaging you, getting your front too low. Right. That's me done for the night. I'm going to do some single player now, offline, and do some other stuff. Have a look to... I wonder if you can save edit the Griffin logo to make that red. Anyway, that's enough of that. I will end the stream here, so take care of yourself, look after yourself, be safe, be well, and all be well. See you at the same time, same place next week.